We are here to bring together expert contributors to help with the buying and owning and selling of real estate in the St. Louis area. And the owning part is pretty broad. One of the things that people talk about a lot on the buying and selling side are flooring. And, of course, when you own a house, you want to have the right kinds of floors for your family, whatever that might be. And hardwood is always, in my opinion, it's just the way to go. So Steve Simpson is here from Professional Floors of St. Louis. Steve, welcome back to the show.
It's fantastic to be back, Damian.
I am glad that you were able to make it. And I thought it would be kind of cool for us. You know, it's hard to talk about floors on the radio, right? We can't say, oh, look at this floor. But it's a very important piece of home ownership and selling and buying, because when we go into a house to sell, right? So if we're out with some clients at Gerard Realty Group and we are going to show 10 or 12 houses in a day, which is not unusual. One of the things that we talk about in every single house is the floor. Oh, this one's got too much. It's an asset to a home. In hardwood floors, you know, people kind of forget. I mean, that's like the original flooring
in most houses in St. Louis,
and they can last up to 100 years. You know,
easily, if you're taken care of and proper maintenance.
And if you've got an inch or an inch and a quarter of wood, you can resurface, recover, restain, redo whatever you want. You know, how many times? 5, 6?
Maybe up to 5, and you're doing it every 15 years, so multiply that out.
Right. So, and, you know, I think a lot of people, when I say I think a lot of people, it's because I get questions from a lot of people. So they don't realize you can completely change the color of your floor.
Yes, and a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are buying houses, and the first thing they're doing is having me come in and change the color.
Yeah, because
modern times.
Because contemporary. So, and speaking of modern and kind of what's going on, the world.
What's the most popular color that they change it to right now?
Well, right now, most popular is dark.
And dark wood floors. And that fits because we're going to talk about the World Floor Covering Association's top 10 trends in flooring. So this is a big organization. They do, you know, are involved in flooring all over the world. And here's what we found is a great format on the show is we're going to list these things out, and then we always run out of time. So we go back and talk about the ones that we think are especially interesting or cool. So here are the top 10 trends in hardwood flooring in America today. Number 1, dark hardwood floors, to your question, Mike.
Didn't mean to spoil that for you.
Steve Simpson, what is number 2?
Number 2 is gray hardwood floors. That seems to be moving in and taking away a little from the dark.
Gray floors. It's kind of weird to me, but people love them, so that's good for them. Number 3 is whitewash floors.
And that's another one
just
that's
strip the color out, right?
And the 4th is people are using satin finishes. They're getting away from the semi-gloss or the gloss. The lighting today is changed illuminations, and what it does is basically just reflects.
Right, and homes typically have a lot more light in today's styling than they did 20, 30 years ago.
The satin makes it very easy to maintain.
Yeah.
Is it Is it more slippery?
No, it has nothing to do with There's chemicals in it that doesn't affect the.
What's the easiest one to keep clean?
Satin.
You
don't see as much.
Number 5, wide plank floors.
A lot of people like to go wider. That's the trend. And a lot of people, number 6 is site finished, which is a job finish floor rather than a pre-finished floor.
Always been at the top of the list as far as quality
goes.
It's a
truly custom job.
Better look. Number 7, vintage hardwood floors and distressed hardwood, trying to get that reclaimed look.
Number 8 is by using the vintage hardwood, it's the old world versus the new world. You have the distressed and the hardwood that looks and gives you that old look into your house.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some places are even mixing the two to kind of get that. That's why they call it that vintage, because it's literally old wood combined with newer wood.
It's a very rich look.
Crazy. Number 9 is American hardwoods, as opposed to a few years ago you heard all Honduran mahogany and all. We're getting back to American, oak and I guess there's no hickory, American woods, which is a new trend. And the last one on the list of 10 is?
People purchasing a solid wood that can be refinished many, many times, as opposed to an engineered piece of wood where you have plies and it usually can't be refinished at all. So it's kind of like a disposable product.
And that was kind of a trend. 5 years ago, you saw a lot of these, engineered floors coming out. There's still a great solution in a basement, though.
Yes, wet areas are below grade.
Right.
Or on concrete.
Yeah, concrete is actually a porous material, and moisture is the enemy of wood, right? Moisture is the enemy of most things in your house.
Everything in your house.
Everything. I mean, moisture is bad news. So you don't want to put a hardwood floor in a basement because moisture comes up through the concrete, right?
Right. So that's how the engineer solves that problem.
So, Steve, Professional Floors of St. Louis, you guys are all over town. Your business, to me, it's very cool because it's limited to installation of hardwood floors.
And sanding and refinishing.
But it's not, you don't do engineered, you don't do carpet, you're not a flooring guy.
Right, we're not all-purpose flooring.
And so what that tells me is that when we have a client who is looking for hardwood floors, finishing or installation, boom, we're going to call
you
guys.
Experts.
Because I just think that you deliver such a high quality of product and service, and that's why I had you do my floors at my house a couple of years ago, which look fantastic still. So which of these, these are national things that we've talked about. Which, if you pick a couple of these out that really are happening in the St. Louis market as far as some of these top 10 trends.
Well, I would say the dark color phenomenon is really what's happening the most. I would say 9 out of 10 houses that we're sanding and refinishing and putting pre-finish go with the dark color.
Right.
It used to be, I would say 7 years ago, everybody went natural and liked the light color, but it's very, very rich, and it makes your home look stately and adds value.
Right.
And that's what everybody wants to do, is add value to your house.
What about wider plank flooring? That was, again,
that's
trendy
big.
A couple years ago. Is it growing or fading?
It's still big. 100 years ago, we used 2 1/4 inch wide. Now the standard is 3 1/4, and sometimes we go up to 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, and it's funny because I look at a lot of houses. I mean, during a week, I probably look at, about a zillion homes in St. Louis area, and I can tell within a year or two when a house was built. When I'm looking at the original hardwood floors.
That's right.
And we went from 2 to 2 1/4 to 3, and then we went to hand scraped, about 9 years ago, and then we had the light pines and the red oak that was made to look like pine, and now it's all dark.
Well, a lot of houses in St. Louis, it was standard for you to have hardwood floors, and carpet was an upgrade.
Right.
And some of the hardwood hasn't seen light in 50 years.
And you know what I've seen recently in a number of new homes, which I think is awesome. And I tell you, if you're looking for a new house, do this. Put hardwood on the second floor.
Yes.
How many times you go into a new house and the first floor looks great, it's beautiful, it's open, there's light, it's awesome. Right. Hardwood floors, are dark and they look beautiful and they're satin finished instead of super glossy. And then you go upstairs, you got this cheap builder grade carpet.
Well, the stairway is what takes the beating on carpet on stairs.
I'm sure.
But when you put hardwood, you don't have that brown.
I want to tell you what, if you want, it's just a Class A finish to have hardwood up and down. So, as usual, we are out of time, but I really appreciate you coming in because
Thank you.
I love the fact that our hardwood floors in my house completely changed the look and feel of my house and made it actually look classy. I now have a classy home.
And worth more.
And it's worth probably a zillion more dollars. So, Steve Simpson, Professional Floors of St. Louis. If somebody wants to call you and talk about having you come out to look at their floors, what number can they reach you on?
314-843-4348.
Or go to profloorstl.com. Talk to Steve Simpson.